Hello, everyone. Happy Wednesday, and thanks for joining us today in this educational presentation where I want to talk to you today about capturing new highs in just 2 weeks. Now, think of it. What if you had a method that had a very high probability that when you bought something, there was a high probability, a big chance that in less than 2 weeks, you would be at new closing highs? Or even the opposite. Let's say it gave you a sell signal, and the high probability would say that in less than 2 weeks, there's a big chance we'd be making new lows after you sold it. So this is what we're going to be talking about today. For example, just looking at this chart and into it, INTU. As we look here, most traders would once again just say, well, not much happening. We're kind of going down, then we're going back up. But if we look and we see there's a 10-day high here, meaning that this is the highest high of the last 10 days, all right? What if there were odds that if you bought somewhere along here, the odds were in your favor that it was going to be closing above that high within the next 2 weeks? Well, this is what we're going to be talking about today, because a buy signal was generated right here with the new method we're going to be talking about. And in just 6 days, you could have potentially captured 20 points as it closed above this new high. The good news is, if you missed that particular setup, there was another one generated right here. So this is what we're going to be talking about once again, capturing new highs in just 2 weeks. And the way you'll be able to do that is by applying them on our platform, the PTS Primo charting platform that actually teaches you how to trade and how to identify these setups that have a high probability, a big chance of making new highs. So welcome, my name is Steven Primo, president and founder of Specialist Trading. I've been trading now for 46 years. The reason why we call it specialist trading is because I was a specialist on the floor of the Pacific Stock Exchange. I was actually on the floor for 16 years, but 9 of those years, I made markets in roughly about 60 stocks. So I specialized in making markets in IBM, US Air, Waste Management, stocks like that. So I traded through the crash of '87 and the bull market that followed. And in my 46 years of trading, I have traded just about every system, every technique, every strategy you can think of. I've traded straight up, straight down markets. So I know in terms of consistency what works and what doesn't. So about 13 years ago, I teamed up with Pro Trader Strategies with one goal, and that was simply to teach and educate traders all of these highly consistent methods so that you can ultimately take your trading to the next level. So that's what we do here at Specialist Trading. That's our goal. That's our purpose, to simply educate you. And you'll see that in today's educational presentation. Now, before we begin, as always, we're required by law to share this with you. So please take a moment to view our disclaimer. I'm going to show you a lot of performance results on this new method that we're happy to announce that actually can generate these high probability new highs and new lows. But please remember that we can in no way guarantee that any of the performance results we're about to share with you will be repeated in the future. Also, please remember, since we are first and foremost an educational company, all examples are strictly for educational purposes only. Now, I see a lot of new names at today's educational presentation. So if you haven't done so already, I'd like to invite each and every one of you to follow us on Twitter, okay? Our handle is at SPCLSTTRADG. Now, if you haven't done so already, you can contact us. I'll give you an email address at the very end where you can get that address once again. But I post different information on a daily basis. Remember, once again, all of our tweets are educational, for student education only, and that is my goal as an educator, simply to teach you how to trade with the specialist edge. When I first started trading 46 years ago, I make no secret about this, I struggled tremendously, probably the same way many of you are right now. So I know what it's like to go through that period. It's very discouraging. It's very frustrating. You know, you're spending a lot of time and effort trying to make ends meet, and most especially you're spending a lot of your hard-earned money. My mentors taught me the same things I teach my students around the world, and that is actually what has been able to sustain me now for 46 years. So hopefully what I teach, the things that work for me, will be able to work for you as well. Okay, now before we begin, just a few announcements. Remember, once again, this is an educational presentation, so I want you to ask me as many questions to educate yourself, but please wait till the end of today's class. I promise I'll get to each and every one of your questions, but oftentimes we slow down the presentation if we stop for every slide. So please write it down and try to remember it. I promise I'll answer the question. Also, if you have to leave early or if you're having technical issues, many times it's just your internet connection. If you log off and then log back on again, the issue will be resolved. But if not, don't worry. Each and every one of you will be sent a link to this recording. So once again, you'll be able to watch it at your own leisure, okay? All right. With that stated, let's begin today's educational class, and we're going to be talking about our brand new method, which is strategy number 2. Okay, this is a brand new strategy we've been working on for a good amount of time, and let's go over some of the highlights of this particular method. First of all, it's an entirely new method. As I stated, we've been working on this for months, if not years, because we would see in certain environments we had some really nice setups, but in other environments there were terrible setups, and we didn't feel comfortable issuing this out to the public yet. So we wanted to wait and make sure that it really was up to our standards in terms of consistency, and we finally feel we're able to do that. Now, it's designed to generate signals in only the strongest of markets. So that's the beauty of this. Think of it, when many times you'll get a signal with someone else's strategy or something you've come up with, and really nothing is happening in the market, and you're praying and hoping for something to go straight up or straight down, but the market is really not doing anything. This is only going to generate signals in those really strong markets. And the way it does this is by applying a proprietary filtering process. This is what really turned this method around, because for years we had thought, well, maybe we have something here, but then the market would change its environment, and then we wouldn't get these really nice signals. The signals would be faulty. But by applying this proprietary filtering process, we see that we really elevated and increased our odds for consistency, because it's only generate the signals in the strongest of markets. Now, it's designed to trade quick 5 to 10 bar trades. So this is the basic format. Once you're in the trade, as we can see, and I showed you earlier, and we're going to be seeing later on, most of these setups will last 5 to 10 bars. If you're trading weekly bars, it'll be 5 to 10 weeks. If you're trading daily bars, 5 to 10 days. If you're trading 5-minute bars, 5 to 10 5-minute bars. So it's all relative regarding the time frame that you're currently using. Now, this makes it ideal for option trading, because we know we have a lot of option traders who said, well, Steve, I always have trouble with my premium just decaying and the price decaying, even though I went long or I bought the calls and the stock didn't go down because of the time factor. I lost a lot of money. Well, this is the beauty of this method, okay? And most of the trades are designed to last 5 to 10 bars. Now, in the course, I will teach you ways in which to hold on to the trades much longer if you'd like. But the basic format is for a quick 5 to 10 bar trade. Now, in the course, I'll teach you both an aggressive as well as a conservative version for trading this. The reason is because everyone trades differently, and we actually encourage that. We don't want everyone to trade the same way. Not everyone should enter at the same price. Everyone should exit at the same place. Everyone shouldn't have a stop at the same place. Everyone has different risk parameters. Everyone has different account sizes. Therefore, there's no way we can all get in at the same price and all place our stop at the same price. You have to adjust according to your own means. So I will show you different ways to do that with an aggressive as well as a conservative version. And then lastly, our edge is consistency. I've commonly been asked this question by most students. They think that consistency in a method means that, well, there's a lot of winners. There's more winners than losers. That's not necessarily what it means. I've often said this before. Consistency is simply an awareness that you will have losses from time to time. And that's perfectly okay. All you have to do is basically be right 60% of the time. Even if you have 40% losses, 60% of the time, and you'll be okay. You will be winding up all right with your trading. So a consistent method is one that is aware that you will have losses from time to time, but one that's able to recoup those losses. So there's nothing wrong with having a bad, setup and it's not working for you. That's okay. That happens all the time. But what you want is a method or a style that's able to recoup those losses. And that's what strategy number 2 is. Okay, so we talked about this filter that we had been looking for ages, in my opinion, to filter out some of these signals. And we finally discovered it. It's a proprietary filter. We're keeping it in-house. But let me show you what some of our old strategy number 2 setups look like. This was originally without the filter. Okay, as we look at this older chart of Apple, we see here that we originally had some sell signals, and that obviously did not work out well. But then these buy signals kicked in, and for this really strong upward move here, the buy signals were nice and they worked out well. But look what happened when the market started to go down. The original strategy number 2 requirements were still in place, and we continued to generate signals to buy as the stock went lower. So obviously, it was in sync right here. But in the beginning, the sell signals were out of sync, and the buy signals were later out of sync. So we needed something to filter out. That's where we discovered this filter. And now look at the setups. We're only generating these setups that could have potentially generated 15 points. We're sidestepping the sell and sidestepping the buys here. So you see how you're in this, and it's really only in the strongest portion of that move. Let's look at another example. Remember, once again, without the filter. And as we look at ZS, we see that we had some signals here that worked out fairly good. This was a nice buy signal, worked out well. These buy signals actually worked out okay. They made new highs. But look what happened here. When the market went sideways, we had buy setups, sell setups, buy, sell. We were getting whipsawed here to death. So this portion did not work out well. And then once we finally had a sell signal that did work out well, if you had any money left, most likely you wouldn't even have taken this trade because it's too late. You've gone through too much and had too many losses. So anything you would have made here, you most likely would have lost here. And then you would have been afraid to take this. So basically, it's a washout. Well, let's look at the same examples now with the filter. As we see here, we only kept the best buy setups in the strongest portion of the market right here. As we see, each time it went and challenged these old highs, okay? Now, it totally kept us out of this sideways whipsaw area, and we could have potentially made 20 points to the upside. And then when we had the sell signal, we could have potentially made 15 points to the downside. So this is the beauty of this filter. By applying the proprietary filter to the trading requirements, we have developed an extremely consistent trading strategy. And here's one thing we noticed, that once we had applied the filter, that a high percentage of these setups on the buy side were making new highs, new closing highs in the next 5 to 10 bars. And a high percentage of the sell setups were making new closing lows in the next 5 to 10 bars. So that's the beauty of strategy number 2. We really have this really consistent method that has an uncanny ability, not all the time, but nothing's guaranteed in trading, but a high probability of making either new closing highs or new closing lows in the next 5 to 10 bars. So now that you have the whole format, now that you know exactly what's gone into making strategy 2, let's share with you some recent examples. And I would think, I've been putting this presentation together. I think most of these happened within the last month. Many of these happened within the last couple of weeks, okay? Okay, let's look at this example in SC. As we see here, we're only looking at 3 bars. But off those 3 bars, we can deduce right here that this is a 10-day high, okay? So we know now that we have a 10-day high here. And we're thinking to ourselves, well, yeah, but we don't have any signals. We don't know if this is going to go above there. Maybe the market's going to head lower. But if you apply strategy number 2, you see that a buy signal was generated right here. And in the next 6 days, it made a new closing high. And you could have potentially captured 6 points, okay? This is just a quick little trade. If you're trading options, you're trading the actual stock. Here's another example here. You could have purchased it right here if you missed that first one and still captured that new high. This was on the 23rd of March. This was just last week. Here's another example, AAP, okay? Advanced Auto Parts. Not much information here, only looking at 3 bars, but we can already find out that this is a new 10-day low. So a lot of traders will say, well, that's a low. It's not going to go below that, so we should be a buyer, right? Well, strategy number 2 actually generated a sell signal. Had you taken that, you see in the next 3 days, you could have potentially captured 11 points, okay? You see here, just in 3 days, look at the new lows it was making. Let's look at MTB, all right? M&T Bank Corporation. Once again, we're looking at a 10-day low here, but it looks like we made a bottom, okay? Kind of a double bottom, looks like it's bouncing, right? But strategy number 2 said that it met all the requirements. This is actually a sell signal. So therefore, had you seen this the night before, you would have said to yourself, wow, I should maybe take that the next day because there's a good chance that it's going to be closing below this low in the next 5 to 10 days. And that was a very good observation on your point, because in the next 2 days, it went down 15 points and it did close and make a new closing low. Let's look at COO, the Cooper companies. Once again, we have a 10-day high here, all right? Strategy number 2 generates a buy signal. You say to yourself, well, I don't know if I can buy this. I mean, we've already gone up pretty high, and that guy in that chat room says this should be sold here because it's overbought. Well, strategy number 2 doesn't look at any of those requirements. It's a special requirement that really looks at a combination of different indicators, a combination of different patterns, and it actually generated a nice setup here where in the very next day, it was making a brand new closing high. Now, you could have gotten in and out and taken a quick amount of points or held on for another 6 or 7 days and made total of 11 points. Let's look at the next example here. This is an ESS. Once again, a new 10-day closing low. We say to ourselves, well, gosh, it looks like it bounced off that, but strategy number 2 is telling us it wants to go lower. Most likely, it's going to close below this level in the next 5 to 10 days. What an amazing edge to have. If you knew with high chance, high probability that it was going to close above or below a certain level in the next week or two. If you wanted to take this, you could have bought the puts or shorted the stock. Either way, in the next 7 days, it was 18 points lower. Now, here's where it made a new closing low, and it continued to make new closing lows all the way down. Let's look at MLM. Now, obviously, someone looking at this would say, well, yes, this is at a downtrend, but, gosh, I can't short it here. Look, it would have been nice to short right here at 365 or so, but now that it's all the way down to in 340s, 330s, I can't short this now. Well, it's a 10-day low, you're right. But what if there were good odds that it was still going to be going below there? And a sell signal was generated right here. Well, in the next 3 days, the stock fell 17 more points. So even if you don't want to short it, this may have a special advantage of keeping you out of something. Many times you'll want to buy something, or you'll think you're long. And if you see a sell signal, that would be a good chance to exit your long position. You don't necessarily have to go short. Or if you were thinking about purchasing something, you say, you know what, I'm going to wait because strategy number 2 is telling me it's going to make a new low. And why would I want to buy it now if it's making a good chance of making a new low? So this is another advantage to this particular method. You don't actually even have to trade it. You can use it as a guideline, as a benchmark, whether to hold on to position or actually even to exit and go short. As we look at Meta, okay, this was just a few weeks ago. And all these examples have been in the last few weeks. We see here that a new 10-day high was made right here on the 16th of March. All right. The next day, we closed near the low. Someone looking at this would say, well, yeah, we made a top here, Steve, and the market looks terrible. I can't buy this. But what if I tell you there was a high probability we were going to be closing above this level in the next 5 to 10 days? Wouldn't you want to buy it? Well, strategy 2 generated a buy signal right here on the very next day, the 17th. And guess what? In 5 days, it was making a new closing high, 11 points higher. Okay, here's a 10-day low. I'm looking at Pool, okay, Pool Corporation. All right, looks like it's a nice bottom here, right? A lot of traders would say, Steve, this is major support here. Why would I want to sell? Because there's a high probability it's going lower. In fact, you had not 1, but 2 chances to sell this before it made new lows in just 2 days. 22 points in just 2 days. Let's look at INTU. This is the example we were looking at earlier. Remember, most traders just looking at this example here would say, gosh, it's making a 10-day low here and it looks like it's bottomed out. But at the same time, we have a new 10-day high right here. Which direction is it going to go? Is it going to go lower or is it going to go higher? This is where strategy 2 can help you. A buy signal was generated right here on the 15th of March, just a couple of weeks ago. And we don't care about the new 10-day low because now that we're going long, most odds are in our favor that it's going to be closing above this high. And look what happened. In 6 days, it did. It was up 20 points and made a new closing high above that 10-day high. Another chance was given right here. And still, if you missed that, another chance right here. Now let's look at some other markets and some other time frames. I know a lot of you say, well, Steve, this is great. I don't trade stocks, or I just trade this market, or I trade intraday. All right, that's the beauty of strategy number 2. Here is a 4-hour chart of the euro dollar, okay? So nothing changes just because we switched markets or just because we switched time frames. Now, if we're looking at new highs, we're looking at 10 bars, because since we're looking at 4-hour charts, each one of these bars is 4 hours. So we just look back in the last 10 bars at the latest high, and that's right here. A buy signal was generated right here. This was on the 20th, just this past week. So on a 4-hour chart of the euro dollar, which a lot of forex traders like to look at the 4-hour chart, you could have used this to go long, and look what happened. By the next day, it was making new closing highs. So right there off the bat, it's met the requirement of in the next 3 bars, it made a new closing high. Now you could have exited with a quick little trade, depending on how many contracts you had. But if you held on a little bit longer, in just 2 full days, you could have totally made potentially 180 pips. All right, that's close to $1,800 per unit. And another signal to go long was generated right here. That's on a 4-hour euro dollar chart. Let's look at a weekly chart of the British Canadian dollar, the British pound Canadian dollar. Once again, since we're now looking at weekly bars, we're looking at 10-week lows. Okay, each one of these bars represents a week. So we're looking at what is the lowest bar of the last 10 weeks, and that was right here. Okay, 2 sell signals were generated, one right here during this week and another one. Now, there's high probability off of these sell setups that the British pound Canadian dollar was going to make a new weekly low here. And look what happened. In the next 7 weeks, it fell 850 pips. So potentially you could have made 850 pips or over $8,000 per unit, potentially in just 7 weeks, okay? Based off the same information that you look at when you're trading stocks. We can also apply this to an intraday stock trading. Here's a 30-minute chart of GameStop. And this happened on the 20th, just last week. Now this is a 10-bar high of 30-minute bars. So looking back the last 10 bars, which is the highest high right here. And a buy signal was generated at the end of the closing day on the 20th. And look what happened the very next day. In the first opening of the next day on the 21st, it closed above. Now, if you were just intraday trading or holding on for 1 or 2 days, you could have said, oh, I'll take my profits. It did what it's supposed to do. It closed above the last 10-bar high. But if you wanted to hold on a little bit longer just for that day, that would have been wise, because look what happened later on. Okay, 8 points in just one day. And look at the big spike there. And it's funny how strategy number 2 generated a buy signal well in advance of that big spike. Lastly, Bitcoin. Here's a 4-hour chart of Bitcoin. We've all seen how Bitcoin has been really starting to firm up again and going much, much higher. But looking back towards the 14th, 15th of this month, not much was really happening. In fact, we had made a new 10-bar high right here based off these 4-hour bars here, but it didn't look like anything was happening. Maybe it reached the top and now it's going to go much lower. If we apply strategy 2, though, we see that it generated a buy signal. So it was telling us that there was a high probability in the next 5 to 10 bars, it was going to be closing above this high. That's a good edge to have. Look what happened. It took a little bit longer, but ultimately it did get up there. And in just 5 days, you could have potentially captured 3,200 points, okay? Now, that's why we say on average 5 to 10 bars. Sometimes it takes a little longer. This was more about 12 or 13 bars. But look what happened. You got in right towards the low, and you had a nice potential gain. Now, Bitcoin is even higher. I took this snapshot last week. It's even higher as we speak. So that potential gain could have been a lot more had you held on to the position. Okay, let's recap what we shared with you today. Remember, strategy number 2 highlights it's an entirely new strategy only because we feel that it's, we've been working on it and researching this for a long time, in our opinion, but we feel it's new now because we feel we've finally come to the point where we can introduce it to the public, and we feel confident that it's a very consistent method. It's designed to generate these signals in only the strongest of markets. Now, many times you'll see a signal and you'll say to yourself, well, Steve, the market doesn't look strong at all. I mean, how can we buy this? You said it's only in the strongest of markets, and the market's kind of going sideways. That's the beauty of this filter, because the filter can tell us internally if the market is strong. See, many times on face value, it looks as if the market is doing nothing, but there are a lot of internal factors that this proprietary filter takes into activity, and that's what helps it make a decision whether it's a strong market or not. Now, it's designed to trade these quick 5 to 10 bar trades. As you just saw in the last Bitcoin example, sometimes it takes a little bit longer. But either way, even if you had waited 10 bars, you still had a profit. You could have exited before it made that brand new closing high. This makes it ideal for option trading. You won't have to worry a lot about your option to premium decaying because you're holding on to position far too long. So not to guarantee that every trade will only last 5 or so bars, but there's really a high probability that it can help you if you're an option trader. Now, I'm going to be teaching you in the course both aggressive as well as conservative versions. So if you have a small account, or if you have low risk parameters and you really don't like to take on a lot of risk, I'll teach you how to trade this conservatively. If you don't care about risk and you're not that kind of a trader, or you don't mind having a large risk amount and you have a larger account, let's say, we'll teach you the more aggressive way to trade this. Lastly, remember, not everything works 100% of the time. There will be times when it takes a little bit longer than 10 bars. There will be times when the trade doesn't work out at all. That's okay. Nothing works 100% of the time in any trading method. If someone in a webinar tells you that this never fails, you should run, because I've been trading for 46 years and I've never seen a method that works 100% of the time. It just doesn't work. So as long as you have minimal losses, and as long as your method is able to recoup those losses, that's what you need to sustain yourself. That's what has sustained me now for 46 years. And Specialist Edge is consistency. And strategy number 2 is a highly consistent method. Okay, here we are at the end of March, all right? March, the 3rd month of 2023 is almost over. In fact, we only have a couple of days left. Do you think this new strategy, this brand new strategy that no one has ever traded before, can help your trading for the remainder of the year? If your answer is yes, which I think it is, we have a great special for all of you attending today. We have a great discount, all right? We're going to offer you our entirely new trading method. This is the new trading strategy we've been working on that really filters out the weakest of all signals, okay? Once again, you're going to get the complete trading rules and learn how to trade this both aggressively as well as conservatively. Now, I know a lot of you looking at today's presentation most likely said to yourself, well, okay, there's no real reason for me to purchase this or become a student, because I kind of get the format here. I look for a strong trending market, and then I look for it to make a new 10-day closing high or 10-bar closing high, and then I wait for a little sell-up and I'll just buy it because most likely it'll close above that, right? So what's so hard about that? Well, let's look at this example in Tesla. Here's an old example. And this goes to what you were saying. Here's a very strong uptrend, right? So the stock is really taking off, but then look what happens. Kind of meets some resistance, and the next 2 days it goes lower. It broke the uptrend. Most traders would say to themselves, okay, well, time to get out. But looking at the basic format and the benchmark for strategy number 2, you say to yourself, well, here's a new 10-day high. And if this the strength of this is really strong enough, and I'm sure it is, then all I got to do is just buy right here, like Steve was showing. You know, I could have my first chance to buy there, or the second one to buy here. And it's going to work out because I know there's a high probability, because this is such a strong trending market, that it's going to be closing above here in the next 5 to 10 bars. So you jump in and you buy Tesla, and then this happens, right? So see, it's not just enough to think that you know the pattern as the way things are represented and displayed on the chart. You need to have the actual requirements. You need to see that a signal has been generated. And the only place you'll see that is on the PTS Primo charting platform. This is why we call it the educational platform that teaches you how to trade. So this is what we're going to be doing. Because you need the platform to see these signals being generated, not just to jump in like that example of Tesla and lose a lot of money. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to throw in the full first year absolutely free of our PTS Primo charting platform. You'll be able to see the signals. You'll be able to use all the other strategies and techniques and methods that are available for first-time users on the PTS Primo charting platform. Lots of things that you won't find anywhere else other than on our PTS Primo charting platform, because most of these things I've accumulated from my days of trading on the floor, and you won't find them on any other platform, like some of the major platforms, because they're things that only the traders used to use, but they're all easily accessible once you'll be getting the platform. And remember, you're getting a full year free. Now, we're not going to stop there. We're also going to throw in an extra bonus if you decide to join up with us today. The first 50 traders to sign up for the strategy number 2 course will get free access to the advanced scanning masterclass. The masterclasses are great because we go into detail about a specific topic. In the past, we've talked about entries, and we've talked about advanced entries. We've talked about exits, advanced exits. We've talked about money management. Each masterclass takes a specific topic, and we really delve deep into that topic. Well, we've decided now to have the next masterclass talk about scanning. And this is going to be a live class that I'll be giving to a select amount of students, and included with your strategy number 2 course, you'll have free access to that class. A really, really great class. And we have already a lot of people signed up for that as well. You're going to get 2 for the price of 1. Okay, so let's break it down with the strategy number 2 course, all right? Now, the regular price, once this goes to the public and once we start promoting it, is going to be close to $5,000, $49.99. $44.95. We're going to discount it for all the people attending today. Our early bird discount will drop it 10% to $44.95. You're going to save $500. But we realize that that still may be a little bit too much for a lot of you. So ProTrader Strategies has been so kind to offer payment plans. What a payment plan means is that you won't have to put up $44.95. All you have to do is put up a small deposit, establish a payment plan with them, and you can still be up and running and in the classes as soon as possible. So you don't have to come up with the $44.95 if it's too much at this time. And remember, that includes the 12 months of the free platform. Whether you decide to buy it outright at $44.95, or you take option number 2 and have a payment plan where you put down just a small deposit and have a monthly fee, you're still going to get 12 months of the platform absolutely free. And if you take option number 1 or option number 2, you're still going to be included free access into the scanning masterclass. So it doesn't matter how you decide to become on board and how you decide to become a student of mine, you're still going to get both of these extra bonuses included, okay? Be one of the first to take advantage of this entirely new strategy. Remember, no one has been trading it except for the people at ProTrader Strategies researching it with myself, as well as myself. You can be one of the first to trade it before anyone else gets a hold of this. Take your trading to the next level. We're already at the end of March, 3 months into the year. Most likely, you're not seeing the type of results that you promised yourself you would be seeing in January, right? Take advantage of strategy number 2, a really high probability setup with big chances of it closing in 5 to 10 bars at new highs, or on a sell signal in 5 to 10 bars at new lows. Okay. Here's how to take advantage of this. Contact ProTrader Strategies. There's their email address. You can email them. I would highly suggest giving them a call at area code 310-598-6677. Trading consultants are manning the phones right now. They would be more than happy to answer any question you have. Or if you'd like to, you can purchase it outright with them over the phone, either the full cost, or you can establish a payment plan. Lastly, they can actually just give you a quote and you can think about it and decide for yourself what you'd like to do. So there's absolutely no obligation. You can get a quote for a payment plan, or you can buy it outright if you'd like by calling 310-598-6677. Now that link you see at the very bottom is the link that will take you to the info page as well as the sign up page if you'd like to do either one. That's not a live link though. If you go to the chat box, we've just posted a live link there. So you can click that on in the chat box and we'll take you. You have more information on that, and you'll see more information about becoming a student of the strategy number 2 course. Now, I promised you I would reserve the last portion of this presentation for any questions. So if you have any questions concerning what I went over or the course, now is the time to ask. You can go to the chat box, or you can go to the question and answer box. Someone's asking, when does the course begin? Okay, let me just give you a little bit of information about the course. It will be a live class. So the same way we're having this class right now is the same way we will be having the strategy number 2 course along with the advanced master class. So it will only be for the select people, the select traders that have become students of mine in these courses. So it's not open to the public, and you can ask me any questions you like. The courses are a little bit different. We can ask questions throughout the actual course. So you don't have to wait till the end. It's more like a teaching classroom as opposed to a free webinar on a Wednesday, okay? They last usually anywhere from an hour to 3 hours, 2 hours on average. It will be broken up into 2 parts because we will be giving the scanning masterclass as well as strategy number 2. So there will be 2 distinct parts to the class, okay? And also, these will be recorded. Yes, someone is asking, what if we can't make the class? They are always, all of our presentations are recorded. So you will be getting a link to the recordings you can watch whenever you'd like, okay? Someone said, what if we can't make the class? How do we ask you questions? Well, you'll all get my personal email address. You can contact me whenever you'd like. I had students contacting me from all over the world, and I answer their questions usually within the next 24 hours, sometimes within the next hour. Depending on how busy or how many webinars I'm giving. So you can always email me with questions or snapshots, and I'll be happy to answer any questions so that you fully understand things, okay? So that's what's happening. Someone's asking, can you give me a little bit more information on the masterclass? Okay, every year, sometimes every 2 years, we take a topic regarding trading, such as entries, money management, different aspects of trading, and different tools we have too. One tool was the PET D, and we give a masterclass where we go far deeper in how to trade and apply them to your trading, much more than we talk about in the normal courses. And a lot of these masterclass give information that is not in any of the courses that I don't teach in the free Wednesday webinars. They're only exclusive to masterclass people. Well, we've been getting a lot of emails from students asking about scanning, how we can improve the scanning and how we can make it more advanced. So that's what we're going to be talking about in this masterclass. The last one we gave was a few years ago. So this topic is on scanning. And think about it. When you usually scan, what you do is at the end of the night, you'll scan for a particular requirements or a benchmark that you're looking for, stocks that are making new highs, a certain strategy or a setup that is happening to look to buy the next day. It's very basic and very simple. This is the way most people apply scanning. But we've taken it to the next level, where in this masterclass, we're going to show you different ways to scan and different things to look for. We're going to show you different combinations of two scanning things at the same time to find out what you feel is a really high probability setup because you're matching two scans together. We're also going to show you new and advanced ways to look for the best and strongest markets with some of our scanning process. And so this is where we're going to jump in deeply in the scanning masterclass, and that will be a portion of the strategy 2 course as well. So you'll get that portion, and then we'll also show you the strategy number 2 course and how to apply it to your own trading. So it's a great way to take your trading to the next level. You're getting 2 for the price of 1, and it's really a ton of information. And as I said, this will be starting very soon. It's usually about a 2 to 3 hour course. It'll be live, and we can always send you the recordings if you're not able to make it, okay? I hope that answers your questions. These are good questions. Any more? Remember, if you do have any questions about the platform or about the masterclass or about strategy number 2, and after we've concluded, there's no worry. You can always contact Pro Trader Strategies. I would highly recommend, once again, just giving them a call. I know a lot of people are worried. They think, well, if I call, they're going to have to sell me something. And I'm afraid. No, they're very easy to work with. They'd be more than happy to give you a quote. There's absolutely no obligation. So don't feel intimidated the way some other websites do. They'd be happy to give you information and let you decide on your own. Okay. 310-598-6677. Okay, so as we close right now and take one last look at our disclaimer, thank you so much for taking time out of your Wednesday. I'm really excited about this new method because, as I stated, we've been researching this and trying to make it better for what feels like years, and we feel we've finally come to that point. So we're really excited about it. We want to introduce it to the public, and I'd love for you to be one of the first to trade it with me. So thank you so much for attending today. I wish you all the best of luck and look forward to seeing you in the new strategy number 2 course. Thank you so much. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.